Xbox is going third party. I never imagined I could see this much with my eyes closed. Yeah, real original and daring thing to say right now. You don't have to be a part of the Terminally Online to see how Xbox is doing. Or have to be a Terminally Online at all, it sucks. It has not been a good year, or rather years, or rather decade for Xbox. Most of their first-party output either not living up to expectations, some not even getting a chance at life itself, despite years of difficult development, or even if it defies both those things, it doesn't mean it's immune to the same outcome as the others. Being shut down by a soulless, short-sighted corporation fueled by greed, no passion, love for this medium or the people who make it. What else did we expect from a company whose name is short for Microsoft penises? It can all be traced back to that one day, May 21st, 2013. The reveal of the Expo. It was good while it lasted, while Microsoft kept their small, soft hands out of this branch, but starting with the 8th generation, the Xbox began going downhill, and those problems I mentioned earlier began to surface. And when that console was coming to a close, there were talks of Xbox going third party. The morale around this console was at rock bottom. But when the Xbox Series fridge came out, Phil Spencer pulled out a fucking drill. November 2020, the Xbox Series X and S releases following Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda to fuel its Game Pass lineup because who needs more exclusives for a console, and 2 years later, Activision Blizzard King run by asshole Bobby Kotick. After that deal closed after a few years of FTC meddling, blah blah blah, Xbox wanted to buy Steam and Nintendo, they fully acquired this absolute dumpster fire for $69 billion.
Nice?
Not nice. And besides that initial asking price, what else did it cost?
Everything.
Quickly following that, the Xbox brand was hit with layoff after layoff. 2023 had around 10,000 layoffs from corporate restructuring. 2024 saw the closure of 4 different studios, either because of lack of profit, underperforming output, or just to be fucking evil.
This is so corporate.
And here we are in 2025, and we ain't slowing down.
It's over 9,000! What, 9,000?
And now there are once again rumors of Microsoft planning to axe their console lineup and go full-on third-party publisher, with xCloud being the only platform in name only for Xbox. Their name probably going to be changed to something disgusting like Microsoft Game. Oh god, I nearly threw up just saying that. Ugh. And sure, they may have responded to these rumors and went like, nah, we still got the box. Meanwhile, most retailers have been removing Xbox sections out of their gaming departments, and I recall Sega denied that they were leaving the hardware scene too, and look how that turned out. There was good that came from that, like Sega not going bankrupt, or more games from new series were being made, and Sonic the Hedgehog was reaching a wider audience. But there was also cons to this, such as Sonic the Hedgehog reaching a wider audience, like me. I was never the same after this. But what could this mean for Xbox? Going third party, not Sonic. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. Just go completely unscripted and discuss the pros and cons of what we as customers and Xbox themselves could get out of going third party. And the first point I wanted to talk about, if they were to go third party, then that would mean no more hardware. And the Xbox hardware lineup has really lacked any reason to invest into it as of late. Since the Xbox One, there really hasn't been anything to gravitate people towards it, no real exclusive games. It's where it's been lacking for about a decade at this point. Its first-party lineups never really meant much, and their output was a lot slower compared to Sony and Nintendo. Even during the Wii U era, even then, it had some games. And the pricing of the Xbox hardware has really just cemented that for a lot of people. It offers the least out of all three, and yet it is the most expensive. At launch it was $500, same as PS5, but as with the PS5 itself, it got a price hike to $600, and then to $650 very soon afterwards. And that's just the normal Series X model. There's the 2 terabyte model, which is now $700, and the Series S, the budget one, has also gotten more expensive as of late. And the sales of their hardware have been diminishing for years. I believe it's just sold 1/3 as much as the PS5. and like looking at that, it's easy to see why they would want to head out of the console business. Sega was losing about, I believe, $300 million at the end of the Dreamcast's lifespan. If they didn't go third party, a lot of the higher ups expected they just would have went bankrupt at that point. And Microsoft is a lot richer of a company, but Microsoft, looking at it, how they're losing money on it, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Why would we keep supporting it? Just go third party, and that cut costs down significantly. And you expand your games to a much wider scope if you put them on more platforms than Xbox and PC, such as Switch and PlayStation. And while Xbox has been supporting the Nintendo end of the Switch for many years now, and up till recently they have also been supporting PlayStation. Putting your games on more platforms does increase a lot of sales, and sooner or later, I imagine they are going to put Game Pass on these platforms. And doing so, much like Sega, this opens the door to more potential dormant franchises getting another lifelight. When Sega went third party, a lot of their studios grew a lot more autonomy. That's how we got a lot more game output out there, like Jet Set Radio, Billy Hatcher, come on, brain work overtime. Remember the Scrimblows. They had a lot more new IPs to bring out, and their game output increased a lot more. Gaming was it was a lot easier to make a game in the 6th generation, and doing so, this had its own downsides. But Xbox going third party, it reduces the cost of physical hardware, and thus not every one of their games need to do big success, which is a big problem in the game industry. Like, a lot of companies, they don't want medium or small successes. They want games to sell tens of millions, but like companies like Nintendo and Capcom, they have shown they have released games with the expectations of they're not going to sell like tens of millions, like 1 or 2. Yeah, that's fine. Like, not every game needs to be a blockbuster success. You can make a small scale game with small expectations, and that's fine. And I feel like I'm going to do this a lot. I want to bring up Banjo-Kazooie, just a remaster of Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie, like Crash to Insanity. Like, that wouldn't be an expensive game. Like, think around 5 to 10 million. Like, sure, that's a lot of money, but for Microsoft, that's pennies. So, and it wouldn't be that hard to recoup cost on a game like that. And like, you have a small investment, but its chance to grow into a bigger success. And Xbox has a lot of dormant classic IPs, not just Banjo, but Crash, Spyro, Blinks. I can think of more than Scribble Bimlos, I assure you, but they own a lot of IPs and they own a lot of money, so they can just hire any dev they want, or go to the countless dev teams they own or that haven't been shut down yet, and just have them work on one of these IPs. There's so much that Xbox can do with what it already has that it can easily make it as a third-party publisher. It can easily. The thing with Xbox, it is so mismanaged. It's so hard for them to just get a game out the door. They announce games way too early that they just need a new team of leadership, someone to actually get a steady stream of games out on a good pace, with other companies like Nintendo or Sega are doing, where it is just an oiled up machine. Was like every year it's like at least one big release coming out of them, and their failure to do so is pretty much how they got into this situation. They've been trying to put band-aids on these bullet holes by just acquiring more studios. The acquisitions of Bethesda and Activision and many more have seriously damaged Xbox's ability to run well. The acquisitions have costed them a lot more than their money. It is so mismanaged. The corporate restructuring to this, because shockingly, spending $70 billion on thousands more devs, shockingly, you might not be equipped for that. being so short-sighted will have its side effects, like leading to why there's so many layoffs with Xbox. The leadership just don't know what they're doing. They're being so careless with the spending. It's how we got here in the first place. Hopefully after Activision Blizzard, luckily after ActiBliz, like these acquisitions have slowed down tremendously, at least from Xbox. Recently EA was bought by a Saudi Arabia group, so shit. And this fucking industry, but I hopefully, like, if this were to happen, this would put a lot less pressure on the devs who support Xbox. Like, there would no longer be an Xbox platform to support for. Games won't have to spend the extra money like the third-party games, boohoo, but like there are indie games who don't have to shell out the money for an Xbox port. Especially with the Series S, which throughout this generation has really slowed down Xbox as a whole. Like, games like Baldur's Gate 3, it took a while to come to Xbox because it was hard for the dev team to get it working on the Series S. Microsoft required a lot of third-party developers to, I guess in a contract thing, it required them to make sure the game would work on both the X and the S, which is seriously stifled not just third party, but a lot of the first party too. It has seriously held a lot of them back, so like not a lot of their games could really take advantage of the next gen specs because they had to like make sure they worked on the budget console, the digital only console, which no one likes. And so devs won't have to cut back on their vision just to support a fledgling little piece of hardware due to contractual obligations. But for as much pros as I believe them going third party would have, I believe there are just as many cons from this as well if things were not to go right, like if greed were to get in the way. And with Xbox, it is likely more to go wrong than right. But other than that, but it's not just them that would probably be negatively affected like this. PlayStation would likely be worse for this. And with Xbox gone with third party and them likely going to support the PlayStation, that means Sony and the PlayStation would have no active competition. Like, no one really on their level doing what they're doing. Like, there's Nintendo and Steam, but they go after very different markets. Steam is PC gaming. Nintendo, with their Switch and Switch 2, it's a different kind of product. It's not really a console, it's a hybrid. They're doing two separate things, and while they are competition in a sense, it's not really on the same level. It is there, but it's not as prevalent as Xbox would if Xbox even tried to be competition, which they haven't really been for years, and that's not really a good thing. Like, you need competition in this industry, or else PlayStation will practically just have a monopoly, and they pretty much do. Like, there's nothing really stopping them from hiking up their prices. There's no real incentive to get a lot of enticing third-party, first-party games out on the door, and we've seen this before with the PS3. After the PS2, they were practically number one. Like, they outsold every console combined at that point, and they thought, hey, we could do no wrong, we can do anything, and so that's how we got the $600 PS3. But lo and behold, became Xbox with the 360 and just kicked its ass during the first half of that generation and really put Sony into high gear. It was a price cut, and they were really kicking an high horse with their game output. But now if Xbox were to leave, then you leave completely, then what's stopping them from doing it again? Nothing. And this lack of competition isn't just them, it's more of it's a Nintendo thing too. We see that with the Switch too, their prices are getting out of control too. And there's no real competition for them either. And there might be the Steam Deck, but that's kind of a different beast. It's a lot more closed off. You can only get it through Steam itself, and there's no real exclusive. So it's not really a competitor, it's a completely different market. if the Switch 2 would need a competitor, it would need to be a hybrid. It would need to be a hybrid console, exclusive games. We need raw power. We need force. We need Dreamcast 2. Of course, Dreamcast 2. It's so simple. I'm not following you. I just quote random shit. I'm not gonna cut this out. Fuck, Xbox. Yeah, and speaking of Xbox, more layoffs, specifically for their hardware division, because if Xbox were to go third party, it would no longer be distributing hardware. That likely means their branch for developing their hardware and technical stuff. Yeah, maybe they could put them somewhere else in company, but Microsoft being Microsoft, I don't see that happening. The layoffs are terrible, but I don't really see them slowing down. It just sucks. That would be a major con of Xbox going third party, would just be more layoffs, and it probably wouldn't stop there. More game development team layoffs are sure to come, because Xbox just really doesn't know what they're doing at this point. And if the Xbox consoles were to go, well, what's stopping the storefronts from going down? A few years ago, the 360 store closed down because, well, it's an old console that hardly anyone was using, and we lost a lot of games off from that. And if we were to loot, and if Xbox were to abandon these consoles, nothing's stopping them from doing this too. As well as that, physical releases would likely be on the chopping block as well. It's been no secret Xbox is I've been discussing leaving physical media. I brought it up earlier, but yeah, in a few stores, especially my own Walmart that I work at, don't weep at me. I know I'm already dead inside. They don't even have an Xbox section anymore. They have Xbox games, but that's in like the discount walled off section. And there's this like picture going around online on Twitter where the Xbox the Xbox department in the gaming department is filled with Switch games. They've already moved the Switch stuff out. They just haven't moved the Xbox banner. And that's funny, but like, yeah, that's really telling that Xbox for a while have stated that they've wanted to get away from physical releases, and they've been doing it silently too. Like we have Doom the Dark Ages recently. Not a single part of that game was on the damn disc. Like, I believe for the Xbox or PS5. And yeah, I don't have to discuss why this sucks. Physical releases are very important for both preservation and ownership. And that kind of leads me to my last point, Game Pass. That has practically been Xbox's, main apparatus for a while. Game Pass and xCloud, less importantly. And recently, Game Pass got another price hike. I believe now $30 a month. And there have been discussion of a free tier with ads. Like, yeah, so if Xbox would go third party, it's more than likely just going to be Game Pass on everything. I'm not even gonna bother with big releases anymore. Just Game Pass just comes out on Game Pass, and that's it. No more physical releases, no more digital releases. Just the subscription service no one likes using. As recently, the Xbox store, the Xbox website crashed because people were trying to cancel the Game Pass subscriptions, and it's really telling because after the price hike, not so many people are just done with subscription service at this point. And while Game Pass does still have a lot of value, that's a lot of games you get for what you're asking, even after $30. But after that point, you'll really have to try to get the most out of it. Just a lot of people are just not as interested in this as they once were. It's the lack of game ownership, the rising prices of this, and much like everything else, the economy. It's just... I'm kind of at my wit's end here. I think I've said all I needed to say. Xbox going third party does have a lot of benefits to it, but just as many cons. And with this company being Microsoft, there's likely going to be more downsides to it than upsides. It likely won't go well, much like the Xbox itself has been going for the past few years. I'm not a telepath. I'm not a futurist. I'm not sure what the future will hold for this brand or console, but it's not looking good. It wouldn't surprise me if they went the way of Sega, following that pattern in that one video I made. Please don't watch that. Why is the card up there? But that's all I wanted to say. If you made it this far, thank you for listening to my inane ramblings. It means a lot to me that you clicked on and watched to this point. And I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching. And hopefully, we'll get a new Banjo game one of these days. Bye-bye. I love you. Mwah.